Ourselves before we put the presentation live. I'm Samantha Pasallo, MD at Horzion Works, and joining me is Richard Holmes, who's Account Director at Horzion Works. Hopefully you'll be able to see the full screen there. So great, welcome to our webinar, which is all around smart marketing for a changing business landscape. So in terms of what we're going to present, we're going to talk through, as Louise mentioned there, some changes that you might need to make in terms of your sales and marketing moving forward. For those that don't know Horzion Works, just a very quick snapshot. We're a B2B marketing agency and we specialise in working with businesses from technical sectors such as manufacturing, engineering, chemical processing, technology and life sciences. We were actually 10 this year, so we do share the 10th birthday with Meet the Members. We've been members of NEPIC for pretty much all of this time, so we're absolutely thrilled to be presenting today at the virtual Meet the Members, which I think we'll all agree has been a great platform and a great day so far. So on to our presentation. Richard?
Yes, so can you see the screen? Smart marketing for a changing business landscape. That should be on the screen now.
Sorry about that, just a technical glitch there. So basically, as Louise mentioned there, the coronavirus pandemic is still affecting a lot of businesses. Obviously, we're in our second lockdown at the minute, and I think that a lot of people will be planning for the different way that we're doing business, the different approaches to marketing and sales that we're having to make, the different way that we're doing events like events today will be in place, for the foreseeable future. So it has been a very challenging year, but it's all about how we plan for next year. And I think with the prospect of restrictions still being in place, it's no longer about short-term planning, it's about planning for these changes to be in place pretty much for next year. So what the presentation covers is basically how we can adapt to this landscape and how we can align marketing and sales strategies to provide longer term success for your business. So we're going to cover 3 essentials as part of the presentation. And basically this is all around how marketing and sales can work together more seamlessly, how combining objectives and campaigns can provide better results, and also how implementing a joined up strategy can give you better foundations for growth. In terms of what we're presenting, it's nothing new. Sales and marketing have always worked on, together very well in business. But because of the changes that we're all having to make, it's about how we get more from our resource, more from our budgets, and how we can tighten how our teams can work together harder and smarter to obviously get the results and the revenues back in the business. So the 3 areas we're going to cover, each area we've got 5 key points for you to take away. So first of all, it's all about how you align your sales and marketing strategy and some tips on how to do that. The second thing is the essentials, so making sure that the right tools are in place. And then the third area we're going to cover are campaign basics and how taking an integrated approach can be a really positive way forward for your business. So depending on the size of business, where you are in terms of your strategy and planning, if you were to adopt these 3 areas with the 5 tips that we've provided, you'll be kind of there in terms of your planning, because these are what we feel are the priority areas for your business. So if we look at the first point, sales and marketing strategy aligned for success. It's fair to say that in any business, a clear and focused and well-informed strategy underpins any sort of growth plan, and that's nothing new. But aligning it more with your sales strategy will make any results that you get from the strategy a lot more successful. So it doesn't matter if you're an established business, an early stage business, whatever type of business you are, having these foundations in place will be critical to obviously the direction of your business next year, particularly through these challenging times, and also how you streamline activities together. The big difference in this approach that we're presenting is that marketing activities will be more target driven. Now, activities for marketing are always target driven, but these will be more aligned across what the sales priorities are in the business and what the sales targets are. And again, as I mentioned before, and as I've heard from some of the conversations I've had today, a lot of sales and marketing resource within businesses is being reduced. So it's more important now, more than ever, to make sure that the two work together harmoniously. And also so that budget and time is not wasted in the wrong areas. And also the strategy doesn't have to be a big document. It doesn't have to be war and peace, anything like that. It just needs to be concise with actions that can make a big difference in your business. So the 5 things that Richard's going to quickly cover in terms of things that you can apply straight away to get you an aligned strategy. First of all, a situation analysis, which is more focused on sales data to help you kind of look at your position within the marketplace. Looking at your sales proposition and messaging, so really focusing in on the features and benefits of what you offer and what the sales appeal is for your target audiences. And then looking at your audience, market, customers and prospects, wish list customers, in order to create highly targeted and blended sales and marketing campaigns. 4th area is objectives and targets. So again, this is with more of an emphasis on revenue. And finally, combined plan of attack. So rather than having a sales plan and a marketing plan in place, combining the two together so that they don't work in isolation.
Okay, so looking at these in more detail, situational analysis, understanding past performance, sales analysis, market opportunities. It's vital to put your business under the microscope. From a marketing perspective, it's helpful to analyze customer perceptions and feedback and look at what is working and what isn't. So look at things like website traffic, social media engagement, etc. You can get statistics on those and analysis platforms. Analyze your competitors and benchmark your company against them. Look at things like upcoming regulatory and financial changes that might have impact on your business. And undertake a SWOT analysis. We'd recommend that you look at least 2 years worth of sales data. Look at what products you are selling most of. Where do you have the best market share? What products are the most profitable? Where is the demand coming from? And are you making the most of cross-selling opportunities? So you really need to drill down into your sales data. The next step, could you pivot and adapt certain products for different markets and have new opportunities opened up with the pandemic as the new markets that you could serve that potentially you weren't serving before? So have a look at all of those things. Then looking at sales proposition and messaging, setting out your sales priorities and shaping your product, services and features, your product or service features and benefits and USP. So the situational analysis will influence how you present your services and products. You may have developed overall messaging and USPs for your company, but you will need to develop new messages on features, benefits, and USPs on the products and services that you're actually prioritizing in line with the opportunities and in line with, which products and services are going to be the most profitable. Then we look at audience, market, customer, and prospects, defining market and product appeal, and who you're targeting and your buyer personas. So again, it's important to drill down into who your products and services need to appeal to and who your messaging will need to resonate with. The situational analysis will have provided the way forward for this. You need to understand what makes your prospective customers tick, what gets under their skin in order to appeal to them. You need to understand who they are, their job roles, demographics, their own priorities, their priorities in their own working lives, where they are in the buying hierarchy. So Are they a decision maker or an influencer? Do they actually hold the purse strings, or are they more sort of influential on the ground? Then look at objectives and targets. Be smart about it. So set smart objectives, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound, for anyone who doesn't know that. I'm sure most of you do. But look at how sales and marketing relate to these targets. The website.
Thread's starting to break up a little bit, so I'll finish off this section just whilst he sorts out the technical elements. So obviously the objectives and targets is covered in terms of being smart. The final part is a combined plan of attack. So this is where you really scope out your activities, your sales and marketing activities. So what, when, how, and how you'll measure the return on investment. So you need to bring sales and marketing together to create a joint plan of attack. So as I mentioned before, it's not two separate plans, but look at which activities you need to implement to achieve your targets and how these relate to sales and marketing. So for instance, if you are implementing an automated e-marketing campaign, there'll need to be analysis of response data and actions following that analysis, which need to be fed through. You'll also need to plan for how the website or social media inquiries are going to be followed up. And you'll need to look at planning around events such as these, the one that we're on today. And also look at what will give you the best return on investment. So again, it's spreading that resource amongst the sales and marketing teams and coming up with one unified plan which will address all areas. So the next section is all around, okay, so you've aligned the sales and marketing strategy together. There will be a number of activities from this that will be critical to the success of the delivery of the strategy. And these all need to be considered and developed way before you start delivering the plan of attack and your targeted campaigns. So basically, these are building blocks, set up activities, which are foundations for your sales and marketing approach. The biggest bit of advice that I can give you is to make sure that you factor these into your overall plan. We see a lot of businesses who set out the strategy and then set out the activity plan, but they kind of miss that time in between, which should be focused on getting key information, key data, and key essentials for campaign success together. So again, just put that time into your plan to make sure that you put these right tools in place. You also need to make sure that the fundamentals are being developed and in place before you even start. And sometimes, as I've said, this critical milestone is ignored. So just work out, if you're planning for next year and you're looking to get out there in January, then you should really be considering what tools you need in place now in time for that. I would give certainly 2 to 3 months before you start implementing. And typically there's 5 things for this that we would recommend in terms of priority focus areas. So data and CRM, so making sure that your sales data, your sales targets, your wish list are all qualified. You've got all of that data together, ready to filter into a campaign. And also something else, don't forget your customer data. Make sure that it is up to date. Make sure that you do have which products they've bought from you historically, which crossover products they might be interested in the business. Because obviously marketing to customers is a lot easier than a fresh new target because they already know your business. So again, don't lose sight of your customers. The next thing is around your sales toolkit. So basically, this is what your sales team will rely on to support them in their selling, and also it'll reference across the customer journey. So what information and tools do they need from the start of the interest to right the way through to the purchase of your product or service, and making sure that the right tools are in place in between that. And then whatever you've got in the toolkit, make sure that that's mirrored onto the website. So again, making sure that sales priorities are prominent on the website. They're not hidden away in a subsection somewhere. They're actually quite, they do mirror sort of what your sales strategy is. Campaign resources. So this is all about making sure that you've got all the activities and tools covered to start and finish the campaign, to make sure that you are providing that great customer experience. And then finally, company and product presentations. Put the time investment in to create some standout presentation and a full suite of slides that can be tailored for different audiences. Now, Richard is going to talk through these in a little bit more detail.
Okay, can you hear me okay, Sam?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, so data and CRM. Your data will drive your marketing and sales campaigns. Ensure you have up-to-date information on all of your customers. What are their buying patterns? What is their buying behavior? Again, really drill down into that. Segment, prospect, and customer lists in a way that works for sales and marketing campaigns. Look at things like geography, industry, job title, company size, past contacts, past relationships that you've had with them. All of that will go into the segmentation. Keep your CRM system up to date. Put campaign targets in place. So who do you want to target? How much engagement would constitute success? Set targets for cross-selling to existing customers and targets for new business or industry segments as well. So looking at the sales toolkit, look at what touch points you'll need to create on a customer journey. Think about which material you'll need for particular audiences. So would you need a simple PDF flyer or brochure for a managing director versus a technical specification sheet for an engineer? Consider assets such as white papers, case studies, videos, and animations, such as product demo videos. That can be very helpful in supporting sales. Ensure your marketing and sales collateral is up to date and relevant. Keep the technical information current as well. Ensure that any product or service modifications and improvements are included in your sales toolkit too. So keep that up to date.
So I'm going to take over because Richard, I think it's still cutting out a little bit.
Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't see anything I can do about that, unfortunately. Sorry.
Okay, well, I'll continue. Sorry.
Yeah.
So third point is around your website and making sure that you've got up-to-date product and service information. This is about adding downloadable, gated content and clear call to actions, which is obviously really useful for sales teams. So update your product and service information in line with the new messaging, USPs, product features and benefits, and make them relevant to your different target audiences by bearing in mind that you've got a buyer persona in place for your target client. Are the main barriers and images on your website, on the homepage relevant to what you're trying to achieve, relevant to your strategy and relevant to your current product and service promotions? Because again, if that's the first thing that people are going to see on your website and it relates to a sales message that's going out there, it needs to match up. If not, make sure that you change them and make sure that messaging is loud and clear and it does relate back to the, what you're looking to achieve from sales priorities. Because people should not have to dig deep into your website to find key information. It should be there, particularly if you're promoting something in an e-marketing activity and you're relying on people then to go onto your website and find out more information. You need to make it easy for them. And also by introducing downloadable content such as white papers. This is really good in terms of gated content so that people can submit their contact details to download them, but it also gives you information to feed into your CRM, information for your sales team, and it creates that potential lead as well. So in terms of your campaign resources, this is where you would need to make sure that whatever campaigns you do, and you've got those landing pages set up, you've got the e-marketing template set up, video content is in place, social media content, and any sort of responses you want from any sort of marketing automation. So what this means is if someone downloads a bit of content on your website, downloads like a white paper, for example, what do you want them to receive afterwards? It could be an automated message, which is a bit of a holding message until the sales team, for example, gets in contact with them. So it's really important that you make sure that these resources are in place. So again, for the landing pages on your website that specifically focus on products or services, give people the information they need, make sure it's got a very clear call to action. And if you're downloading content or if you're asking people to fill in an inquiry form or receive a free consultation, make it easy for them to do that. Also, email marketing templates, make sure that you've got the right branding, the right messaging on them for the sales and marketing campaigns that you put out there. You can also, automate email campaigns, and it's a really efficient way of reaching a lot of potential customers and adding a bit of personalization, but also automating them so that it's not just one email out to a whole range of different customers. You can tailor sort of different responses for different interactions to that email marketing. Social media content is important as well, to make sure that in line with everything else that you do, and you've got the right graphics, photos and infographics to kind of bring those messages to life. But make sure that the messages you put out there are really consistent with what you're doing elsewhere. And if you are using any infographics or visuals, make sure that they're high quality. Films and animations, for example, are a really good example, particularly if you're doing international sales and marketing, to really bring a product to life if it's very technical. It's a great way to show a very technical product. So again, think about that as part of your tools in place and something that will support your sales team if they're not able to travel, for example, across Europe to showcase a product. Think about how that type of video and animation can really support your sales campaigns. Then consider what happens when someone engages with you. So, for instance, if they access a website landing page, do they then download a white paper? Do they receive an automated email? So look at what that journey is as well. So several resources will be needed across the whole journey and will need some planning. And last but not least, something that shouldn't really be left until last or until you've secured that presentation is like having a really good, stand out company and product presentation that can be adapted and tailored to like different scenarios. So, for example, if you have a whole suite deck full of all the products, but one customer is only related to like one product or two products, then you don't necessarily need to present them all. Just pick and choose which areas you want to do, but make sure that the messages in them are consistent and it is very professional and visual, because again, a lot of sales activities will need to probably be done on Teams or Zoom in the foreseeable future. So make sure that things are stand out and, images can do the talking. So again, presentations are really important for events, for pitches, for technical seminars. They've really got a strong role. And as I've mentioned, if you use striking imagery, infographics and videos to convey the information quickly, it's a really good way to showcase your product, but make sure that everything's consistent. And I think as well, if you adapt them for different audiences, it just means that they're more meaningful when you give that presentation as well. So that brings us on to the final point, which is campaign basics. So taking an integrated approach to your campaigns. So you've got a really aligned sales and marketing strategy mapped out, which was point 1. You've developed all the tools in place, which is point 2, that will make a difference. You're now ready to get out there and implement your targeted sales and marketing campaigns. So these are 5 things that actually you can consider in terms of doing that. A lot of time and effort, you might think, a lot of time and effort's going into planning and doing the insight and looking at the sales data, historical data as well. But this is where it can really, benefit a business. If you put the groundwork in, it means that things will be more targeted. You've got the right data that can be fed into the targeted campaign, which inevitably will give you better results. So it's worth putting that time investment in. Planning and doing the tools in place is not something that can just be done, right, we've got 4 weeks, let's get it done and start it in January. It's not about that. It needs to be really considered and planned in to make sure that you get the results when you get to this stage. So messages need to focus on, features and benefits. The activities you choose will be different depending on markets. There's a whole load of different marketing tactics out there, but it's about which ones are suited to the audiences and markets that you're looking to target. And again, this will be directed from your buyer persona, where you really get to know what the motivations are to buy your product or service and how your target audience can interact with you. So that's why that buyer persona and that research at the start is so important. It means that things will be more targeted and it will turn that interest into appeal because it's relevant to them. So the 5 areas to focus on here are targeted campaigns. So this is focusing on generating leads and interest and engaging with new and existing customers. Second area, integrated campaign tactics. So using the buyer persona, as I've mentioned, to really pinpoint the best approach for your campaigns to get you the best results and make you stand out and be different. Online networking and events, making this a priority tactic, because online networking and online events will definitely be here to stay for the foreseeable future. Profile and awareness is an interesting one, because a lot of businesses in the past have put a lot of time and resource investment into this. So this is brand awareness, PR, all that profile type activity. Although this is very important still, because it does create that name recognition in the marketplace, it probably won't have a prominent, it'll be reduced in terms of the level of activity that you'll need to do moving forward, and it'll be reduced in probably the budget that you will assign to that type of activity as well. And finally, data capture and follow-up. It's really important that you've done all this planning, that actually you record the data that comes from your campaigns. It's followed up effectively with your sales team. That information is then streamlined into the CRM. It's then passed on to marketing so that you can actually provide some meaningful information from those campaigns. So to look into a bit more detail and to give you some examples, I don't know if Richard, you want to try this, and if it goes off again, I can step in.
Yeah, we'll try it again. Sorry about this. So targeted campaigns, from your research that you've done earlier on, who do you need to engage with what product and service information? So who are the people that you need to talk to, engage with, connect with on social media, and what are the things that they need to know about your products and services? Prioritize your audiences, so which people are the most important to reach, and build your campaigns around them. Targeting is absolutely vital for success. It needs to not be a blunderbuss approach. It needs to be really kind of focused in and honed in on those buyer personas. So integrated campaign tactics. Look at your customer journey. Which tactics need to be employed for maximum effect, and how can these be integrated? Web content integrates with e-marketing, and that integrates with social media content, with downloadable content, with event activity. Messaging around those all needs to be consistent. Consider what happens when someone engages with your campaign activity. So, for instance, when they access a website landing page, do they then download a white paper, then receive an automated email, then a follow-up call from a sales or BD team? So several marketing tactics are needed along the journey, and they all need to be integrated together.
Okay.
And networking and events.
Sorry, for networking events, Richard, you're going a bit wobbly again, so I'll step in. Sorry about this, everyone, technology. So the third point, which is networking and events. So this is about using memberships fully, taking advantage of online presentation opportunities and networking, and using LinkedIn to connect, engage, and inform. So you meet the members today, so well done. That's the first step forward. But also, obviously, there's the Cluster Connect on November the 19th. So, engage with that, make the most out of your NEPIC membership. But as you can see from today's event, there are opportunities to exhibit, present, network, and disseminate information at virtual events such as this, and all from the comfort of your kitchen table or your study or wherever you are at the minute. So, as I mentioned before, if this is the first time that you've done it, embrace it, because I think there'll be many more of these opportunities moving forward. And memberships give you the opportunity to meet the buyer, deliver seminars, research prospects, etc., and make the most out of them. And again, with LinkedIn, it's a vital networking tool to build connections, share content with your campaigns and company pages, and engage with industry that you're part of. But again, it's about, having this as part of your plan. So if marketing are putting out messages about different products and stuff, this is why having that alignment is so important. It should marry up with what goes out on social media and LinkedIn, and a consistent approach should be adopted. So again, it's really important that you sort of embrace these different opportunities, because these might be the only opportunities that your sales teams have for quite a while. In terms of point 4, profile and awareness, I touched on that before, and this is employing tactics such as PR, social media, brand awareness, particularly for PR and brand awareness. Although you will be delivering targeted campaigns around specific products and services, it is still important to keep your overall profile visible. So whereas a lot of your marketing budget might have gone on PR or trade publications previously, a lot of investment now might be on targeted campaigns that are digital, because that is how a lot of campaigns at the moment, because of the pandemic, are being delivered. And again, I think you need to plan them in for the first half of next year. So it's just a shift in priorities in your strategy. So again, it's still critical to have that brand element in your strategy, because your company still needs to stay in whatever pole position they are, whether or not it's a market leader, whatever that might be. But you still need to keep front of mind, especially at the moment, but in the right way. PR and social media is highly effective in raising awareness of your company, and it also reinforces the credibility that your business has, the experience your company has in target industries. There's still a role for that to continue. Examples include showcasing major projects you've completed, new products you've launched, and investment in your business. So these are all really good things that kind of keep that confidence level up in your business and keep your profile high. And also keep your news pipeline healthy. Keep sharing positive news and don't go under the radar. So, it is a difficult time at the business, but I'm sure there are still some good news stories within all of your companies. So it just gives that kind of positive vibe that goes out there in the marketplace without obviously false perception, but it just keeps customers confident, as well as, any prospects engaged in your business, and they know that you still exist, they know that you're still out there, and it just, again, keeps you front of mind. And last but not least, data capture and follow-up. So this is just making sure that all the hard work that we've both talked through up until this point is actually prioritised and acted upon efficiently. So this is a case of who will do what within your sales and marketing teams. So who will be responsible, for example, for analysing leads that come from your website inquiries, social media, and responses to email campaigns? How are you going to capture this information? Where is it going to be stored? And how is it going to be disseminated? So it's really important that you decide who does what, so that no opportunity is wasted. Collate data into a CRM system and make sure that people across teams know how to use it, so that, as I mentioned before, no opportunities go lost. And then who'll follow it up? So who in the sales team? Do you have representatives that are very product orientated, market orientated? Can you assign leads to different members of your teams? Whatever the scenario is within your business, just make sure that everything's followed up. And as I mentioned before, in certain campaigns, there might be an element of marketing automation that you can implement, for example, to give a quick response, and then you can give a more considered response after that. But as well, make sure the messages are consistent and the way and the tone of voice that you use is consistent throughout the whole process. And it's also important to look at the steps from initial data capture to a meeting and pitch and the final sale. So again, this is part of sort of your customer journey, to make sure that you've got the right information, you've got the right follow-ups in place, the right follow-up information ready to send, and you've got responsibilities and actions from your teams to deal with different touch points across the whole customer journey. So that was a very whistle-stop tour, because obviously we didn't have a lot of time to present, to kind of come up with the 3 areas we feel will give you impact in your business. So Richard, next slide. So what we do have is a handout from today. So it basically covers all of these areas, because we do appreciate we're trying to cover a lot in a very short space of time. If you come to our booth, which is Horzion Works, we'd be more than happy to dig a little bit deeper into each of the areas that we've covered. Or you might have some questions that you want to ask us related to the presentation. There's 3 of us on the stand, so we'd be more than happy to spend some time with you to kind of talk through things in a bit more detail. The thing that we'd really like to present to you is our free marketing health check offer to NEPIC members. Again, there is information in the handouts area which covers what you actually get as part of the free marketing health check, but it does equate to 2 days free marketing consultancy. And basically we'll look at across your whole business, sort of your brand, your messaging, digital presence, your sales campaigns, marketing campaigns, PR, internal, external communications. We cover everything. We then spend some time on Teams or Zoom with your team. So whether or not that's the owner, the MD, the sales and marketing team representatives, more the merrier, because it means we extract a lot more information. And it means then we can actually understand what you're trying to achieve with what you've done this year. Has it worked? And actually then we'll come up with some recommendations of how you can actually drive your marketing forward next year. So obviously the whole thrust of this presentation has been around alignment. So again, that's why it's so important to at the initial stages to get both of the teams involved so that we can come up with some really good recommendations for you. So if you're interested, again, you can email myself or Richard. You can visit our stand at Horzion Works, but this presentation deck is available as a handout. And as I mentioned at the start, even if you were to cover and tick off and work through the 3 areas with 5 tips within each area, you will have a really solid plan to go into 2021 with. So without further ado, I'd like to open up the questions. However, I don't think we've got time. So I think NEPIC mentioned that if you've got questions to come over to our booth, which I mentioned was at Horzion Works, and we can answer any questions there.
Okay, thanks a lot, Sam and Richard. That was excellent. Some good marketing fundamentals there. And as Sam says, please visit Horzion Works in their booth if you want to ask more questions. But that was a great presentation and really useful for I'm sure, for many of you. So
yeah, sorry about the technical glitches, but hey, that's the life we live now, isn't it?
It is indeed, yes. Okay, thanks, Sam.
Thanks. Cheers. Thanks.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks. Cheers.